AI agents are here to stay, at least for a while. We can have multiple agents work together to come out with a plan, code something, test all that code, and then give us the final code output. And if you've never created an AI agent before, I would dare to say that you've at least interacted with one. Let me explain. I'm going to introduce you to a popular agentic framework called Autogen, and it's actually a multi-agent framework. All that really means is that we can have multiple agents talk together and then produce something for us. And we can have different ways of having that conversation. And Autogen offers so much out of the box, such as RAG, context handling, compression, integrating with local LLMs, and much more. But like I mentioned, I think you've interacted with a single agent before. You've more than likely interacted with ChatGPT at least once. So ChatGPT, when you talk to them, they can be the AI agent and we are the user. So me as a user, I'm going to ask them to write a Python function that reverses a string. And then they are the AI agent that's going to give us a response back. So whenever they do, we now have code that shows us how to reverse a string in Python. This is an example of a two-way chat that I'm also going to show you with Autogen. This is a sample conversation where we are just going to be talking to an AI agent back and forth until we get something that we like. We're going to code two different agents, have them talk to each other, and we're going to give a configuration to the AI agent so it knows what model to actually get an output from. Well, let's begin coding. First off, use the IDE of your choosing. I'm going to use PyCharm, and the first thing I'm going to do is create a project. So you can just go to File, New Project, go ahead and choose the name of it, and then choose the interpreter, whether you want to use Conda or virtual env. Once that's done, you can create a new directory, and then inside of that directory, you can create a new file called first_agents, or whatever you want to name it. Well, now the first thing we need to do is install the library called PyAutogen. So you just open up your terminal, and you'll type in pip install PyAutogen. Hit enter and it'll install everything you need. Once that's done, the first thing we need to do is import Autogen, not PyAutogen, import Autogen. And the next thing we need is a config list. And what this is just a way to tell the AI agent or multiple agents what models we want to use and give them an API key if we need to. So in this case, I want to use GPT-4, or you can also just use the 3.5 turbo model. Then we're going to create our first agent, which, like we're talking to ChatGPT, this agent is going to be us. So this is why it's called a user proxy agent, because this is a user agent. So it's you or me. I'm going to give it a name of user. We have to give it a code execution config. You can either set this whole thing to false or do what I did. And what this is going to do is whenever we have it actually write code for us, it's going to save it under the directory called code right over here. And if you want to use Docker, then you don't have to worry about this. But if you don't have Docker, you don't know what it is, just set this to false. I'm going to set the human input mode to terminate so that we're only going to talk back to it whenever it's about to be done or it thinks it's done. And then we give it a termination message so it knows whenever to stop. And then finally, we want to create the assistant agent. Again, we give it a name and engineer, and we have to give it the LLM config, which again is the config list, so it knows what model to choose from to actually give us a response back from. And then the system message is kind of like the personality of this AI agent. So they are a 10 times Python engineer, of course. Then to run this, you can open up your terminal and type Python first_agents.py or whatever the name of your Python file is, or you can go to your project pane, right click the file, and then come down to run. Okay, so after we ran it, it's saying user to the engineer. This is what we asked the AI agents to do, and we want you to create two Python methods for us in one file. So the engineer responded back to us. The triple tick marks means that this is the actual code and it has the language that's going to be using, so it's Python. It's going to be saved under this file name, and then here are the two methods with the import. Then the user agent is actually going to try to execute this code. And then we got an exit code of 0. If it was an exit code of 1, meaning that there was some error, and then it would try to fix itself. But we didn't get any errors this time. And then the engineer said to the user, because it thinks it's done, it says terminate. And because we have it set to terminate, this is where we can give feedback. Well, I don't really need any feedback. So what's going to happen is I'm going to hit exit because we are done. And whenever we hit exit, now we are done. And it saves that file under the directory that we told it to. Now I had just renamed it to coding instead of code, but it does the same thing. So if we open this up, here is the code that it gave us. This was a good introduction to coding your first AI agents. Yes, it was simple, but you got the idea and understanding of how it can work. Now here I have a beginner's course on Autogen that you can go through and you can learn so much more and a little bit more in depth of how all the things work. Like and subscribe to my channel. I also have a free newsletter that comes out with every Sunday at noon down in the description. And if I didn't mention, it's free. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next video.